Hello, good evening, and welcome, my unconventional conventionist. My name is Joe Fritz. Whatever. I'm going to keep going. So, last time, if you remember, I drew this picture of John Riggs as an imp. And as you can see, his little t shirt there. It's an idea I came up with pretty much on the spot of turning the board inside of a NES cartridge into a skull with crossbones behind it. So I've decided to try to make that T-shirt a reality by drawing it essentially, and then sending it over to John to see how he likes it. Now, because I want this to look nice and professional, I'm going to be using the pen tool starting out, and I promised before that I would show how to use this. As you can see, I'm using the pen tool. It basically looks like an old-fashioned fountain pen, and you can basically point to different points you want it to draw a line to. And if you want to draw a curved line, all you have to do is click the point and hold the button down, and then just pull it into position using those little, I don't know the proper term for them, but they're just little doodads that come off of the point that you're trying to do. And you can, I believe you can hold control, and you're actually able to manipulate those independently. But it's easier just to hold the button down and do it as you go. So now the first stroke I do, I'm going to do, that's simulating pressure. Now that's an interesting way to do things, but it doesn't look right for this drawing. So we're going to do it without simulating pressure so that we have a nice, clean, even line all the way around. And like I said, this is just a way that you can kind of cheat. If you have shaky hands like me and you want to draw nice straight lines. Of course, you always have to delete your paths every time you do it, so that you can draw new paths. And you like I said before, you just kind of click the points where you want the line to go. Now, even though I already drew my kind of guidelines in the background there, the guidelines were a little bit off, so I decided to kind of make it match on both sides, make it as I don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical, but I definitely want it to match a little bit. And you see, like I said, I'm just clicking the points I want it to go. And then I want this to kind of curve out a little bit. And then, of course, on top, it's going to curve in. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm just going to kind of curve it out. Hopefully it's showing up. It is kind of hard to see. Hopefully the resolution is good. And then on this one, you're going to see the line kind of be crazy. And you just kind of have to play around with it, manipulate it a little bit, and you can get it. You can usually get it. A lot of times what I do is I only do about 3 lines. I do 3 points and then draw the line. That usually makes it easier, but as you can see, I kind of have to stretch it way out because if you manipulate the line on one side, it's going to manipulate it on the next point as well. So, and I don't know why it goes off the screen like that, as if it's processing or something every time I do that, but somebody knows, maybe let me know in the comments. I'm not sure. So I went ahead and sped this up because obviously that's going to take quite a long time to do that way. But basically I just do this to do like the lines that I want to do straight. And I want to make sure that those are nice and clean. I don't want to... Everything else I can kind of fudge, and if it's a little shaky, that's fine. But I want just certain parts of this thing to be nice and clean. So the EPROMs for the eyes there, I want to be nice trapezoidal shapes that kind of curve upward, kind of like an eye socket. It's what I was going for. So yeah, I mean, this is an easy way to do it. but it is time consuming. It's probably faster just to draw it, but that requires you to have a nice steady hand, and you can draw straight. It is a handy way to do it, though, definitely. Actually, while I was drawing this, HQ, this trivia game I like, came on. And so I think at certain points I'm actually like jumping over and answering questions. HQ is really fun. You can play for real money. I'm not sure what their scam is, like how because there's no advertisements on it. So they may have like, maybe some of the questions are like advertisements and we don't know it. Maybe they'll add advertisements later on. Personally, I think the whole thing is about stress testing. It's a live broadcast platform. That's my theory right now. My other theory is that they're probably going to get everyone hooked and add microtransactions or something. Because right now you can, by signing people up, and if you sign up, make sure that you put in Paraptorkeet as your friend code, so that I can get some extra lives. Because you do get extra lives every time somebody, one of your friends joins and puts in your screen name. You get extra lives. It's really an ingenious system to get people who are trivia nuts like me to get all their friends to sign up. So yeah, I'm all done with the lines that I want to be straight. You can even see that I kind of curve those a little bit. You can see up there in the corner, there's like just messed up on that line. There is I should have looked up the terminology for it, but I believe it's just called a PCB, which is, it's a board. It's basically a circuit board. And that's the circuit board that's inside of NES cartridges. I'm not sure what game that is, but that's a pretty common look for most games. They kind of divide the data up into the two main chips. If you watch John's channel, he can explain all of that to you. I play around with ROM hacking every now and then, but I've never actually finished anything. It's fun, but it's very time consuming, and it's like I'm kind of in awe of John's skill and how quickly he can do things, and he's good. He's good at picking things that like I wouldn't have even thought of, and just doing something. He does something simple. Like whenever I want to do it, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna completely convert this game into whatever. Like I was trying to make Wampum into a Shovel Knight game, which was going to be very time consuming. Just like a total conversion of that game, which it's like, why not just play Wampum? Like I think I got as far as making the main character into Shovel Knight, with all of his attacks and everything, and maybe I'll show that off at some point. For now, so kind of had fun, conceptualizing this. Just coming up with ways in which the circuit board could look like a skull. So these like what are they called, connectors at the bottom, you can see that they actually have this kind of pattern, and it looks great because your skull actually has a similar pattern. And so I'm just kind of playing up the similarities between this and a skull. Of course, those little tabs on the side, like on a real circuit board, those are where they, a machine cut out the silicone, and those are broken off. But I made them look like, I don't know, they almost look like Frankenstein bolts or something. put on little capacitors, and I believe those are capacitors. No, those are resistors. I do put a capacitor on it that just kind of hangs out like some kind of weird piercing on its forehead or something. Yeah, those are resistors, I believe. And let's see what else is going on in my life. What do I got? So about 25 minutes on this video. I watched the new Godzilla that's on Netflix. It's a Godzilla anime. And of course, like, I fire it up and it's set in space, so I'm like, did I get the right video? Did I get the right movie? What is this? But apparently it's set in a timeline where human beings escaped Earth because of Godzilla. And it was all right. They end up like fighting, like, there's these crazy pterodactyls, and they get to Earth and they find out like the planet is just all life on Earth is pretty much adapted to a Godzilla style mindset where even the plants are just like razor sharp. Like, there's a point in which this guy just walks up and says, "Hey, don't touch that. You don't know what's going to happen if it cuts through your suit. It's razor sharp." And it's like, what? Like, even the plants are just deadly. And there's these pterodactyl looking guys that I don't think it's supposed to be a Rodan, but I guess it could be. And they have to fight him with their big mech suits and stuff like that. And they hint at, I guess it's going to be like a series of movies. They hinted at Mechagodzilla, which I think I've already stated how I feel about them just constantly reusing the idea of Mechagodzilla. It's like, let's do something new, guys. But yeah. Okay, so starting to come together. I'm just adding all kinds of details, just like the drawing. Last week, John as an imp. I want to add like lots of gory little, gnarly details. It's like an action figure, like if they did an action figure line that's just like mega circuit boards, and they're fighting. There's it's the bits versus the bytes. Something, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is an action figure line that's just circuit boards and teaches kids about electronics by showing them action and adventure. There we go. I almost wish Reboot was taught you more about computers. That would be interesting. Reboot's the kind of show where you watch it later on as an adult and you kind of get more of the jokes. Like that all of the characters that aren't like the main characters are representing ones and zeros. That's why they're a ball or they're like a weird one-eyed thing. So here, what this is meant to convey, the EPROMs that John uses when he makes I'll explain that in a second. I just want to point out, like, here, I'm going to end up, in order to make this look symmetrical, I'm going to end up copying this eye and sending it over to the other side in order to help it look symmetrical. Because I want it to look symmetrical. I want it to look good. If I'm doing this for a t-shirt, I want it to look good by any means possible. And if that means, not actually drawing it and, kind of cheesing my way through it a little bit, I'm going to do it that way. But anyways, so for the the EPROMs that John uses on his ROM hacks, they have this little thing at the top so that if you want to erase the memory on it, you can just take it and put it in like an ultraviolet thing that basically fries it. And if you want to make sure that if you want to protect the data on it from sunlight, you basically just put a piece of tape over it or a sticker or something. And so the eyes in this are the little light thing on the EPROMs, and then I gave them tape for eyebrows. So there you go. And of course, the little connectors that go down into the board and out the other side. Wanted to make sure those looked good. You know, those bones are looking a little bare, so we're going to do something with those bones. Well, first we're going to fill this in, color it. And what I'm doing here is I'm using the magic wand to select the areas I want to fill in. And then I get the paint bucket and make sure I turn off contiguous. And it'll just fill in all the areas that I have selected. Well, like I said, those bones are looking a little bare. Oh, you know, that was looking a little phallic, and I only put phallic symbols in when I mean to. So, yeah, I took that out. And yeah, I just wanted to fix that a little bit. Now that little gap there in his teeth, that was intentional. Now, the bones are looking a little bare. It's the thing I kept bringing up, and I wanted it. I decided to go for kind of a Metallica album cover look to the bones, so I wrapped them up in just bandages. I don't know, just kind of random. Just kind of came to me. Like, I wanted to do something interesting with those bones, make them look more detailed. So I was like, yeah, I'll just wrap them up. Wrap them up in electrical tape or something. I don't know what. It's green tape at the end. Oh, and I decided to fill in those eyes too, so they look more like eyes. But as I was saying, that tooth is blank for a reason. Some of the boards don't have a connector right there. It's usually somewhere toward the middle. But yeah, some of the boards don't have a connector somewhere on it because it's just not using that. So this, I decided to try to make the, to make the wrappings look a little bit more realistic. You know, they're just kind of bunched up around the bottom of that one. I thought that would be a neat way to add some variety to the images. And of course, I'm adding lots of detail to the bones, the kind of like outer surface. These are like some femur bones or something with the ball and socket joint on one end and the knee bone on the other. I mean, but to be as small as like a PCB board like this, they'd have to be like chicken bones or something. But we won't speculate on where these bones came from or why they're here. I mean, I thought about like wrenches or something, but you don't really use a wrench. I also thought about soldering irons or something, but then I finally just like, nah, just bones. They're bones. Why not? You're using the chicken bones to hold the PCB board up while you're soldering it. Something. Okay, and so that was me getting rid of my guidelines because I don't need them anymore because I'm all done with that. And I decided now when you're making a t-shirt, you want it to be as few colors as possible. So I decided to go with black and yellow. Now I made sure that I do them as separate levels in case for some reason it's like, no, we can only do one color. You want it to be as few colors as possible because it costs more to for each color you do if you're doing like screen printing. So if you really have to make sure that you're being frugal with the colors you're using. So I decided we'll just do yellow. Yellow will work for bones. It'll work for all the different parts of the circuit board. Make things stand out. And yeah, just fill it in with some yellow. Then, the nose, I didn't quite know how to do the nose, so I just kind of made it that weird asymmetrical, I don't know, bare part of the circuits. Not sure what that would be for. I thought about maybe putting a capacitor on there or something, or I just don't think it would look like a Squidward nose or something. It wouldn't look like a skull. So, yeah. Just coloring, filling it in. Yeah. So you've been with me in this video for a while now, and I appreciate it. I appreciate that you're watching this. I wish I had something more interesting to say to stretch all this out, but yeah. I figure after a while I'll get better at this, maybe. I hope. We'll see. Maybe my next video I'll do just an ASMR, just like, hi, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to my art show. Just Bob Ross. Bob Ross was the original ASMR guy. And we're doing the teeth. And yeah, we put that little gap in there. He doesn't need that. Whatever game he is, he doesn't need that particular connector to be connected. Filling it on in. He's got some yellow teeth. He's like, he needs to see a dentist. But yeah, those fangs were definitely inspired by Metallica. Like, I didn't even realize I was doing that. But now we're going to play around with, I just wanted to show you kind of the idea of, say, if you printed that on a green shirt, that's how it would look. My other idea, and I ran this past John, is the Konami PCBs, the boards that were inside Konami games. Some of them were blue. So coming up, I'll switch over to kind of the color of the Konami boards. And I think that looks really cool too. But yeah, like I said, if you get these designs down to 2 colors, and if you can do that, you can make some cheap shirts. Yeah, I think this is where I switch it over to the blue. I think the blue looks really good. And switch it back and forth. But yeah, that's looking good. So thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out John's channel if you want to learn how to make your own repros and learn more about how NES games work. NESX time.